Thank you to Rork for sponsoring this video. Rork just launched Rork Max, the first iOS Swift app builder that you can use inside of a web browser. Not only that, you can deploy to the App Store in 2 clicks without Expo. In this video, we're going to put it to the test, building a full stack app, and you're going to see whether it's actually worth you trying it yourself. So we're just going to send off a prompt. I want to build an app for readers to track the books they've read, rate them, set goals of how many books they want to read in a year, and get AI book recommendations based on their interests. And we're using Rork Max, and we're going to be using Opus 4.6. So I sent it off. Rork Max created a to-do list of creating the data models, the views, the app icon, building and verifying the app, and it went through and actually generated all of it. And here we can actually preview the app on the dashboard and the editor, and we can preview it here on our computer. But we can also run this on our device. And this is something that I really like about Rork Max. All you have to do is download a companion app. It's a Mac app that you can download on your computer. And then you can connect your iPhone, your phone and device directly to your Mac. And then you can preview the app directly on your phone. And this is great. It's just going to give you a really accurate display and way to test your app on your actual device instead of on the virtual device here. For our purposes, I'll use the virtual device. I did notice it's a little blurry. I think that's just because it's a simulated device and it's coming through that way. But on your actual device, on your phone, it's not blurry at all. So just keep that in mind. Something cool that I saw is the app is integrated with the Google Books API. So that's how we are able to actually see book titles and covers, because it's directly integrated with the Google Books API, and it did that all on its own. So I'm searching for a book, Good to Great. This is by Jim Collins. I'm going to add this. So now this is in our library as Want to Read. If I click on it, we can see what it's about. It's pulling in what it's about, how many pages it is. If I click Want to Read, we can change it to Reading or to Finish, so we can log. And now under Reading, we can see Good to Great is there. Let's change it to Finished. And if we go back, now we can see our book is under Finished. If we go to Goals, we can see recently finished books. I can set a goal, let's say 12 books this year, and I'm one of 12. This is amazing. It did this in one shot. It just built this out completely on its own, just based on that initial very simple prompt. Really cool. I'm excited to dig into the rest of the features that it built and then add some more on afterwards. If we go to Discover, so based on our reading history, it's pulling in some books that it thinks we would like. Now, I might need to refresh this because I think it was first pulling these in when I had no reading history. Now that I have Good to Great in my reading history, let's see if I refresh this, if it's finding books that make a little bit more sense. And it looks like it is. So now it's pulling in more nonfiction books, books about business, books about economics. So it's definitely pulling in more books that make more sense based on my history. Now, we only have one book in the history, so the more books that we would add, the more likely that these recommendations would be closer to what we want. But let's say Dare to Lead, I want to read. I'm going to add that to my library. And if we go to the library under All, that's going to be under Want to Read. So we can save books that we want to read in the future. Really nice that it built this out. Under Stats, here we can see total books finished, reading, and all of that is tracked in the stats. So really nice. It built out a really good starting point, but there's more I want to add to make this something that I really would be excited to use myself. So I'm adding a feature, add the ability to rate the books that I've read. Okay, so now it said we can rate books directly from the book page. So if we click on Good to Great, for example, I can rate it 5 stars. Yes, this is a much better UI. And then same here, it looks like it's putting it here in Dare to Lead as well. So even if it's under Want to Read or Reading, it is letting me do that as well. But that still works for me. I think it's okay to have it there all of the time. I want to add one more feature. I was thinking, like, what if, because if I put it under Finished, it's going to be under Stats under Finished and basically be a part of my 2026 reading goals. But I want to be able to add books I've read in the past without affecting the 2026 reading goal. So we'll send this off as a prompt and see if we can add that. So that way we can have our library and then also add books that I'm reading now and then finish them now. So that's going to also give us better data in the Discover tab based on our reading history. So now let's test that out. If we click Finished, the date picker pops up and I can say I finished it now, or I can select a date in the past. And now it's under finish. So now under my goals, that book by Tim Ferriss is no longer in our 2026 reading goal because it was finished in the past. So perfect. Now that feature is working correctly. So it did this for us. We added Supabase so that way we can have a full backend and have user authentication through Supabase, which is going to give us a lot more options and also just give us that persistent backend. So it could even work across device, or we could have the same app for a web app or same backend for a web app and an iOS app. Lots of things that we could potentially do here. So it's built in really nicely for the environment variable. So it's asking us for the Supabase URL and the Supabase anon key. So if we go to Supabase, I can get the project URL just from the homepage and paste that in. And then if we go to our project settings, if we go to API keys, and then we need to go to legacy to get the anon public key. So you just copy that and paste it in. So I hit save and continue. And now it should fully set up Supabase so we can actually log in and test this out. So let's see. It says they're set up, and then it reloaded the app, and it's just checking everything very quickly. It's doing one more change. It reviewed the code, and it needed to update something. Very impressive how autonomous the Rork Max AI is at just building this all out. All right, so it says it's working now, so let's try it out. We'll create an account, and now we should be able to create an account on the virtual version of the app because we're not using Apple sign-in or anything like that. Although we could add Apple sign-in, I believe, through Supabase later on. So there's one more thing we have to do. Go to authentication, go to sign-in and providers, and then we're going to uncheck confirm email and click save changes. So this is going to allow users to log in without having to confirm their email, which is helpful for testing. So now let's try this out. And we are now logged in. We're really close. This is one of the more complicated things to get set up, just the Supabase authentication, making sure that users can actually log in. And then I also have to make sure that we need the database to be pulling from Supabase. And I don't know, it doesn't look like we actually created any tables yet. So that'll be something else that we need to set up so that all the data can be saved in the database. So then I asked it to make sure that all the data is saved in Supabase, like the books. So it's set it up for that. And then it's giving us a SQL query to run inside of Supabase so that it creates all the tables. So we'll go here inside Supabase, we'll go to the SQL editor, we'll run that. And as long as we get no rows returned, that means it worked. We'll go to the table editor, and now we can see we have our books and reading goals, which is great. And then inside we can see all of the data about those rows of the books and all the fields that we're saving. So now we have a full stack app with the database that the user can save to by adding books. And this is going to be persistent across sessions. And we have a Supabase database in the backend that we could use, again, for a web app or something else if we want in the future. But this is a full iOS app that Rork built for us from scratch. And it is a native iOS app built in Swift. This is so impressive that it was able to do this. And it's the only tool on the market that I know of right now that is actually able to build apps in Swift like this. And then what I'm going to talk about next is what makes this even more powerful is the actual publishing to the App Store. This is one of the biggest challenges as someone who's been in the no-code space even before AI for a really long time. You've been able to build web apps using no-code tools in the past. Building iOS apps that could actually be published to the App Store was always a lot more complicated. And Rork is making this a 2-click process. This is like mind-blowing that it's able to actually do this and it works. So all you have to do is first you have to create an App Store developer account. So you have to pay $99 a month for that. But then once you do that, all you have to do is click publish, and then it is a 2-click process. It has it all set up for you. You can also generate new icons if you want, or upload an icon file. You select the platform. So this would be iPhone and iPad, but the app name, the version, Rork handles the bundle identifier. So these are just technical things that are really annoying to deal with if you have to do it on your own. You would connect your Apple developer account. So you just sign in. It's as simple as that. And then you would submit it, and then your app is going to be submitted to the App Store. It's literally that easy, which is mind-blowing to me, given how challenging it is. And I've also built apps, iOS apps, and using React Native and building it in Cursor with Expo. And, AI makes it easier than it did in the past to deal with Cursor, but dealing with the App Store Connect and getting all of the bundle identifiers correct and all of these small things is a huge pain. And the fact that Rork has it set up for us is really, really nice. A few other things you should know about Rork is that it's also going to have some analytics for your app built in. So this tab will show daily active users, weekly active, monthly active. You can collaborate with other people. So collaborators will use credits from the project owner's workspace. So you can collaborate with your team building an app together. And you can also sync to GitHub. So the code can be synced off of Rork. You're not locked into Rork. The code can be put onto your own GitHub repo. You can manage your environment variables here as well. Check your plan usage. So as you can see, like building this entire thing took, 145 credits to build the entire app that you see here. So the path to going from idea to an app in the App Store just got way easier. Click the link in the description to go to Rork and try it out for yourself. And literally any type of app that you can think of, you can now build and get it on the App Store. Let me know in the comments what you think of Rork. And if you actually build something, I'd love to see it. If you paste an App Store link in the comments, I'll check out what you built with Rork. That would be really cool to see. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more free content like this. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.